Good morning and welcome to America's Home Cooking. You know when you buy the pork ribs and they've been cut and separated? That's what I have here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to spice these up and cook them. I'm thinking about making a gravy, and I haven't decided if I want to serve it over rice or potatoes or what. Still working on that. See, here are the little ribs. Oh, this one's a little different. But the way I want to cook them is to make sure that I can also get bone marrow out of them. I could leave them whole, but I said, nah. I was going to show you the zucchini that I mean not the zucchini, the yellow squash, but it still needs to dry out more. It's not dry enough yet. I hope you all had a wonderful evening. I've been watching videos, and I'm noticing that the foundation these women are putting on their face, you can't see their skin for the blotches or the damage done. You men, I mean, don't know what you're getting. And because I'm 70, I'm sure some of you think I'm putting that on my face. So this morning, I did not put any color or any lipstick on, so you can see my face, exactly what it is. The only thing I put on it this morning was some oil, and that was it. To prove to you, health will shine through no matter what. I tried one of those zucchinis. They were not dry. We were going to go through a taste test on each one, but if they're not dry, I'm not going to show them, because I know if you put them up before they're crispy, they will mold up on you. So they're still cooking, and we'll see how they go later. No, come on, move, move, move. Shake your buns. I am definitely making this spice rub for beef and pork. This is too good to pass. Well, I've got buttermilk going. So instead of buttermilk, because I have it over there, it's going to take all day for it to be made. I'll go ahead and put some yogurt on this pork. That should be just enough. See, when you use an egg wash, it sort of slimes off and really doesn't hold. You can use buttermilk or yogurt, and it kills, because of their enzymes, it kills any bacteria growing on them. Lemon and salt is usually what West Indians put on their chickens before they fry them to kill the bacteria. I know in the South they use buttermilk, because my grandmother did. Still getting it out of my teeth. And I found out you can use yogurt as well as buttermilk in place of each other. So because I grew up in the South, I know some Southern dishes and how they cook. And then because of my mother's heritage, I know that part. And then I learned my husband's. Then I came up north here, and I learned that. And then I sat there and learned from Wong. I am not good at Chinese food. Hang it up. I just don't have a knack for it, but you know, I do try. You ever saw me do it, you'd probably sit there and say, that's not how you do it. Yeah, I know. I'm not good at it. And I had Ida. She taught me some German dishes. Consuelo taught me some Mexican dishes. And my girlfriend Patricia has taught me. So I learned from a lot. I listen and I learn. It is not that their food is wrong. You have to realize their culture, where they live and what they have, and they had to make it work for them. Oh, these might be spicy. My older brother one time, when we were in Mexico, he ordered a goat dish. And these pieces were teeny little pieces that he got. So he figured you put a whole lot of them in his mouth. And as he chewed and chewed, they got bigger in his mouth. We all started laughing at the table. It was hilarious. I don't know what they did, but it was good. It was very, very flavorful. I don't even know the dish that he ordered, but he just wanted to try something different. And when he saw the meat and it was so tiny, it was like, man, I feel like I'm being cheated out of the dish. Mama and Daddy said, you're gonna eat it, you ordered it. And as he chewed, it got bigger and bigger, and he realized why it was so small. And my husband had a bunch of beautiful couple, and they were traveling. I can't remember what country they were in, but they decided, because they didn't speak the language, they were going to order the biggest word on the plate, on the menu. So they did. They came out with a goat head, and that was it, on this big long word. Another time they took a little word, they ended up with this massive meal. So, you just have to learn. Those are some of the escapades that happen. I remember the first time I was introduced to sourdough. At that time, now we are talking late 50s, early 60s, and I was a little girl. My mother drove to Houston, which was about 2.5 hours, going about 80 miles an hour, 80, 90 miles an hour on the highway, because the speed limit at that time was 75 during the day, 75, 80. Night was 65, 70. Listen, you saw the town on the horizon, so if you wanted to get there, you put metal to the pedal, as they say. And there weren't that many cars. And we had to go I think it was on a Wednesday or a Thursday. They actually had to fly in from here, from New York City. They had to fly in once a week, sourdough, whole grains, and bagels to this bakery. And people would line up early in the morning around the block to get it. And when they ran out, that was all that they had. So my mother had to get us, she got me up early before the sun, which was very normal. And we took off and hit the road by 7. My brothers were already out to school, so she was taking me that day. And there was already a line outside waiting for her. But anyway, she got bagels, she got some whole grain breads, and they were sourdough. That was my introduction to sourdough. Oh my God. Then she had to order, because you couldn't really find what you call cheddar cheese. We used to call rat cheese, because rats loved it in Texas. And my mother wanted specialty cheeses, so she used to order from the Cheese of All Nation. I don't know if a lot of you know about it, but it used to be in Lower Manhattan. It was a tiny, tiny little store. But oh my God, they got cheeses from when I mean everywhere, I mean from everywhere. They were delicious. My husband took me there many times because I talked about it, the Cheese of All Nations. And then my mother used to go to, order from it, and it would come in through the mail. And so he would take me there, and we would get, one time, they got a very, very special cheddar. They said this is extra, extra, extra sharp. Well, I love cheddar, so, I said, sure. I'd like, a pound and a half? And my husband agreed 2 pounds would be better because we really like it. And this guy said, look, this is really got a bite on it. It's not the cheddar that you get in the store. I said, I eat extra sharp from the store. He says, no, this is extra, extra sharp. I said, look, we really want it. So he thin sliced it and said, and he even brought water out because this is how strong the cheese was. And he sat there, he gave it to us. Boy, did it have a bite. It bit you back. I still got 2 pounds of it because it was good, but it bit you back. And he says it's really good with wine. He introduced us to so many different cheeses from around the world. That's why it was called the Cheese of All Nation. I was looking for it. My husband was sick, and he really wanted, some nice things. So I wanted to get that for him. I could not find the Cheese of All Nation. I called, I researched. I found out they sold out, and the whole area was built up. There used to be little homes there too. I know I'm going back in time, aren't I? And I hadn't been able to get those cheeses. Like St. Andre's. Oh my God, I don't know where they got their St. Andre's, but I have not found a St. Andre's that matches that in any way, manner, shape, and or form. Wherever they got it, they got it. They used to travel into these little villages. But anyway, that's how I got into cheeses, and that's how I got into sourdoughs. They were just great. These little specialty shops that you can find these things were so nice. And these family-owned businesses and stuff have been bought out, and they're gone now, which isn't any fun. It's like they're controlling what we eat in these family-owned businesses and stuff. Because it was 2 men at the Cheese of All Nation. It was them. They were longtime friends. They had served in the war, came back because they were all over Europe. They learned about these cheeses. And they said, you would not believe the villages we went to. And they used to tell us stories, and I just sit there and listen to them. It was great. And then sometimes we'd come and we would have wine and cheese and crackers with them. And they'd get crackers from God knows where. But that was a specialty shop that I'm sorry is gone, because it was really, really, really good. Talking about things that happen. So I think society, in a way, with this world market, has lost a lot. You don't have these little stores that were specialties, and what they do is they sit there and close them out and do a mass production and then sell it to the public that this is this, and it's really not. I mean, I can make pasta with all these different flours, but I have to order them. You can't find them in the store for all these different flavors. That's just in the flour department. There's so much more there that we don't know. I'll take what we call weeds, because I know some of them. I don't know a lot of them, but some of them. I'll put them in my salads, and we get that. And the texture of it is different. The flavor is different. There's different vinegars. You can make your own. I had to go and buy 5 vinegars just to make some mustard. Then my oven went out because I need my oven for it. But when you can, these things, you're sort of holding on to that that's gone. I mean, I make cottage cheese. It's not like the cottage cheese you get in the store, but anybody can sit there and buy a fruit cocktail and buy a can of cottage cheese and make a fruit cocktail over it. But when you make your fruit cocktail and you make those concoctions with different fruits and stuff, and you can, then you end up with a whole different flavor, like it used to be, like specialty shops. Well, that's not hot yet. I'm not gonna take it out now. My escapades and some of the wonderful people that I've met who have introduced a world to me of things. Yes, I knew how to cook. My mother taught me, but what I learned outside of her was a whole new world of things that I didn't know. That's why I'll listen to people when they're telling me how they cook or things that they've learned because of their experience. This had whole wheat and seasonings from previously using the flour. And I just added the seasonings onto the meat, and I'll toss them in so this will be more flavorful than normal. So let me get back on track. So talking about, I got all these ideas and stuff that people shared with me, and I listened. Let's see if I can get some more here to toss it. Now you braise your meat. A lot of people like to just stick their meat into a pot, add vegetables, add water or stock, and cook it. But you're just boiling the meat, and it's bland. Somebody told me to try it, so I tried it. I want you to know my family did not enjoy the dinner. The meat was flat, did not have the flavor, even with all the seasonings I put in. They'd rather eat the stock and the vegetables than actually eat the meat. It was that flat. So, braise the meat. Even if you're going to put it in a gravy, put it in a stew. Because you want to bring that flavor out in the meat. love the Jenny and nice color. Well, let me finish braising this, and then we'll move forward. Look how pretty they braised up. I'm not even done cooking up. Isn't that nice? Turn out very nice. Okay, I browned them. Got my oil here. The flour I just used on them. I'm putting them here. It's full of flavor and seasonings. I'm gonna make my roux. It's called R-U-E, roux. It's not really just mixtures or something. This is actually the roux right here. The flour and the oil, or be it flour and butter or anything that's in the beginning. And because I actually used that flour that was all spiced up with seasoning, gravy's gonna have a very unique taste. Now here's the way. People don't believe I used the way. Here's the way. See, there was no waste with the flour that I used because it was loaded. Like I told you, I was going to put it over there, and I said, no, I'm going to go ahead and use it. I told you I used my way. The only thing I might have to do is add salt and pepper because there's so much flavor in the flour and in the meat, and then with the whey. The gravy should be very, very flavorful. And because it has a slight tartness to it, because we did when we made the cheese, we had to add vinegar to it. The fluid has some vinegar in it, some acidity, so it's going to help break down the meat that's cooking in it as well. I'm waiting for it to come to a boil. With seasonings and stuff, you do not want to overheat and have a high flame when you're doing that, because you want to saute those herbs and yet cook the flour in the fat, in the roux, and then add your liquid if you don't want to burn it. Once you add the liquid, you can turn the heat up. Now, for you people that are glucose intolerant, use the cornstarch, but don't use as much, because remember, cornstarch is a much stronger thickening. So if you used 1/4 cup of flour, Normally, cut it in half, and you can use the cornstarch to make your gravy, because they say, and this is what I keep reading, they keep on saying, cornstarch is all right for people who are glucose sensitive. Not me saying it. You can't look it up to make sure. Okay, it's just starting to simmer. I'll taste it for salt and pepper after, but I want to go ahead and get this cooked more. Bringing this to a boil, and then it will be cooking for a while. So let me get the lid on it. That's how I cook with whey, and with those mixed seasonings that I use, and with the pork. And I use the flour that had a lot of seasonings in it, so when I go to make the gravy, I have all of those seasonings, not just what's on the meat, but all the other dishes I had made prior that you saw me collecting this flour and using it, adding more seasonings and all. So I'll see you when it's done. Okay, this is done. The pork is done. I'll show you. Here it is, almost with a curry look on it. And I'm going to serve it over rice. I haven't decided which rice I'm going to use yet. So that's it. Bye-bye.